Welcome to the talk show Promise Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and this is Sinha and Sayeed sponsoring this very talk show. Viewers, today we have two very important guests. One is Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury. He is the founding chairman of DBC and editor, Bangla Daily Observer. Not only this, he is known to everybody, not in Bangladesh, around the world. And he is what he is. Other being Syed Badrul Ahsan. At this very moment, he is living in United Kingdom. He is also one of the star-like journalists in Bangladesh. But his pain has not stopped. Living in United Kingdom, he is writing in favor of Bangladesh all the time, speaking for the Bangladesh. And today, we are very proud having these two giants. How are you, Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury?
Thank you, and thank you to your audience.
Well, how are you, Syed Badrul Hassan?
Fine, thank you. Glad to be back in Dhaka. And thank you, and my thanks to your team also for having me on the program.
Yes, thank you. Well, Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury, you know very well, once upon a time there was Digital Security Act, and now it is Cyber Security Act. What is the basic difference between the two?
First of all, you must think that world is moving ahead, and digitalization is a accepted fact, and our country also accepted this reality, and we are moving towards digitalization, and Bangladesh is now a digital Bangladesh. And this program was taken by the present Prime Minister when they were elected during 2009. From that time on, she has given a vision that Bangladesh will be digital. Today it is a reality. At the initial stage there had been doubts whether Bangladesh, a poor country, there is no much electric supply, no internet, everything. But now it is a reality. Everything is now digital. And the media also, we have also turned to be digital. Because you cannot sit back, you have to move ahead with the world development. And after being digital, the media also turned to be digital. Everywhere around the world, there is a necessity that the media should be free, and the constitution of our country also it guarantees the freedom of speech, freedom of thinking. So, but when the country became digital, there is no restriction on the digitalization, that is the emerging of the social media, Facebook, internet, and so many things. As you know that initially there are print media. The print media, they have to take the declaration from the government. Then the electronic media. Again, this electronic media also became a privatization because of this present Prime Minister. When she first came to power in 1996, she declared that the electronic media will be open to the private sector. And from that time on, it is now more than 3 dozen that is electronic media is there, both mixed media, electronic media, program based, and also specialized news media. When they are to take permission from the government, take the license from the government. I am talking this thing because there are certain responsibilities, certain restrictions on these medias. They are free, but there are certain restrictions and responsibilities. There are gatekeepers in those media. But in the social media, it is emerging social media. You cannot stop it. But the emerging social media, they do not have the same type of responsibilities as it is in the case of the electronic media and the print media. So, in social media, in the name of freedom, there are reckless, use of this freedom. That's why there is a necessity of law. So, it was first Digital Security Act. But when the Digital Security Act was in action, in its operation, we in the media, we found that there are some draconian, restrictions which are curtailing the freedom and initiating harassment of the media persons. So we started opposing it. Not only we, but also in the civil society, they also raised voices. And at the same time, the international watchdogs on the media, they also raised objections. Finally, the government realized that they cannot ignore this, voices. So, from digital, they have come to the Cyber Security Act. So, the way these cyber acts, digital security acts, the way they are now being used against media or against the common people, there we have raised voices. We said that no.
Thank you very much. I will come to you again. Syed, Badrul, Ahsan, you are living in London at this very moment. And you listen to what Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury said. What is your responses to this?
I think Mr. Chowdhury, Ikbal Bhai, my respected Ikbal Bhai, he has pointed out or pointed to all the problems and prospects regarding digitization as well as the Cyber Security Act. I will only add a few points in agreement with him. The first fact to remember is that we live in an era where we have a digital highway, and Bangladesh, despite being in a position which is far removed from that of developed nations, we have joined the digital highway, and I think throughout the country, this question of digitization or this digital development is an important fact of life in our country today. As far as the Cyber Security Act is concerned, yes, now, see, we all need laws, as Ikbal Bhai has said. We all need laws to regulate our lives. Now, if it were an ideal world, we would say that no, we don't need laws. We are free. It's a fully democratic country. But then the problem with our country is that there are too many divergent and diverse forces, and we still have to tackle with problems which militate against the principles upon which this country was founded. For example, we speak of the spirit of 1971, but then we also have people who, through social media and other platforms, they go against those principles, and that has to be those principles have to be protected. In the name of democracy, you cannot say everybody should have a free hand, which is where we need laws to protect the people of the country, to protect our interests. But where we need to be careful is to see to it that laws such as the Cyber Security Act, such laws should be a means of checks and balances. So check the activities of people you suspect to be working against the interests of the country, and also balance it in the sense that when you apply these laws, such a law, the Cyber Security Act, CSA, so there should be no misuse, there should be no abuse, there should be no misapplication of the term. If I complain, or if a citizen complains about another citizen on social media about, for example, we have this recent instance of somebody placing a comment of Lalon on social media. Investigate the complaint, investigate the allegations against him, instead of going right away to arrest him. So first investigate the complaint, any complaint against any citizen on any subject, and then if there are grounds to see to it that that he or she has committed a crime, then you go for action. But if the investigation reveals that this was just harmless, say he did not mean to harm anybody or harm the state or harm society, then act accordingly. So CSA is, we need to investigate these charges first. The CSA is one day, hopefully, maybe in future, I think a time will come when we will not require such laws to be in place. But for the time being, we realize the importance of these laws. At the same time, we also realize that under these laws, through the application of these laws, people in the different professions, especially journalism, should not be harassed. See, because if a journalist writes something or makes any comment, do not go straight away to his home and arrest him or take him into custody. Inquire into the reasons, see what he has written, and investigate it properly before you act. So that is what I would like to say. The CSA, as I say, we are on a digital highway. We are part of the world, and we cannot remove ourselves from the world. We cannot extricate or separate ourselves from the rest of the world. So those laws, such laws are applicable in almost every country. We know that. So Bangladesh is not an exception.
Well, thank you very much, Syed Badrul Hassan. You are talking about digital security and act, at the same time cyber security act. Do you find any big gap between the two?
Well, not really, because Digital Security Act was a broader term, and it has been narrowed down to this question of cyber issues. So, which is quite encouraging in the sense that we are not going after issues on a huge scale, on a random scale, but when you talk about the Cyber Security Act, about the CSA, I think we have narrowed down the area, and what we need to ensure is that through the application of the CSA, we will be able to ensure that there is stability, there is discipline in cyber security, that there is no misuse or abuse by any quarter. And generally we talk of the authorities, the governmental authorities abusing or misapplying the system. Well, if that happens, we need the government to ensure that it does not happen. Where the misapplication appears or occurs in other areas, for example, the social media. The social media is a platform where everybody is freely engaging in statements that they would like to make, which is okay. Everybody has a right to express his or her own opinion, but there also it must be seen that these expressions of opinion do not militate against our larger goal, and that is to promote a liberal, secular democracy in the country. If in the social media we see that efforts or propaganda is being carried on to turn Bangladesh into a region where it would not like to go, or where we would not like it to go. For example, a radical Bangladesh, a radicalized right-wing Bangladesh, an Islamist Bangladesh. That is where such laws should come in. So, in other words, to your point, my final point is, apply the CSA. Perhaps a time will come in the not too distant future that we will no more need such laws, such security acts. But then, as long as they're in application, it should remain our intention to see to it that we rebuild, Bangladesh in a way it was built in 1971. Because briefly speaking, if we go back to what happened for 21 years after 1975, it was plain lawlessness in the country. That kind of lawlessness should not be there, and where we feel there are acts of sedition being committed in the country, there should be thorough investigations and then a thorough, useful, purposeful and meaningful application of the CSA.
Thank you very much, Mr. Badrul Hassan, and thank you very much also Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury. Viewers, we are going for a short break and come to end very soon. Please keep staying with us. Thank you. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Province Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and we are having talks with two veterans and star like journalists. One is Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury, another being Syed Badrul Ahsan. Well, Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury, you know very well that every year State Department of USA, they publish a report on country-wise report on human rights, and recently they have published a report including Bangladesh, and they have uttered so many words, they have so many sentences were there, and most of them very much negative. What is your study on it?
Particularly about the US State Department's report on HR, that is Human Rights Index. They are doing it from long back. They are doing it for different countries. Whether they have a right to do it, whether they are doing it rightly, there are questions. I am not going to challenge whether they have a right to do it or not. But I want to say that before they do it for other countries, they should also look into their own countries also. How the human rights are being trampled there. Every day there are killings. Even concerning the election, there had been the attack on the Capitol Hill, their parliament. The trial is still going on. Anyway, when you talk about the human rights in other countries, one has a reason to ask United States that what you are doing in other states maintaining or guaranteeing the human rights. The question of, say, the Palestinian, how the Palestinians are being killed every day by Israelis, and what is the role of United States. They are supporting, not only supporting, they are supplying arms to Israel. And those arms are being used in the genocide. The Israeli Prime Minister, he said that whether there is a agreement on peace agreement, the operation, that is Israeli operation in Rafah, that will continue. This is an outright, affront on the world sentiment. And America, they are giving them support. In our own country, whether we have our own human rights, that will be judged by the people here. Whether the people, the citizens of this country, media, professionals, civil society, and common people, whether they feel that there is human rights violations or there is a need to improve the human rights conditions, that will be decided by our own people. The way they are showing the facts in US State Department's report, my question is that we do not need any certificate from other countries. So whoever is the government in our country, they should remember that our father of the nation, he fought this war. 3 million people, they lost their lives to protect human rights, rule of justice, and governance. So I think that in our own country, we must have our own soul searching, whether after observing the golden jubilee of our liberation, whether we are now protecting the basic principles of our liberation.
Thank you very much. Well, Mr. Syed Badrul, as Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury asserted, the soul searching is needed for us. And do you think we are not following this slogan properly, not soul searching, very big concept, it's atomic concept indeed. And do you think Bangladesh is not in a position to start any soul searching at the very moment?
Soul searching for ourselves, you mean?
Yeah.
I think we are into a system of soul searching. If you look at conditions, political conditions now, I think these conditions are not the same as they used to be, let's say 25 years ago or 30 years ago. We talk, we argue, we raise questions in the media, outside the media, at formal, informal gatherings. So we are doing soul searching here. But when we refer to interests of other countries like the United States, the question that you put to Ikbal Bhai, the question of American worries about the human rights situation in Bangladesh. Well, they will raise their concerns about Bangladesh and about other countries, and at the same time, I think it is also our right, our privilege to raise questions about conditions in America, conditions in other countries also. So for these foreign governments, especially the U.S., what I would like to say is that there should be they should draw a line where they can follow principles, proper principles. Now, what has been happening in the West, in the United States, in Europe, the European Union, diplomacy has gone missing. If you look at these two situations here, in Ukraine, they have one policy, the United States and its friends. In Gaza, they have another. In Ukraine, over Ukraine, they were quick to condemn President Vladimir Putin as a war criminal. Over Gaza, they are still coddling Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They are not condemning him. So that is where hypocrisy comes in. You have to apply the same rules, and you cannot say that of course Hamas. I would like to say yes. What Hamas did on 7th October was not proper. In fact, it was reprehensible. That should not have been done. But instead of tackling the issue in a diplomatic way, the Western powers have allowed, I will use the word allowed, they have allowed Israel to go into action against innocent Palestinians, killing so far I think 35,000 people, most of them women and children. Now that is genocide. So in other words, there's absence of diplomacy. I think to go back to the earlier point, if Americans are concerned about the human rights situation in our country, yes, we will look at our human rights situation, and we have our different organizations, different people, different individuals who are equally concerned. See, but then at the same time, we'd also like the Americans and any other government, foreign government, which wants to inform us, to advise us on what should we do. Please look at your own policies. What happened in Iraq? How did you go into Iraq with Britain? How did you destroy a sovereign country? What did you do in Afghanistan? In Afghanistan, millions of Afghan people are without food, without water. Nobody's bothered nowadays. Afghanistan is a forgotten country. So what about human rights there? What about the rights of the people to food, shelter, and education there? All these things must be taken into consideration. And finally, I would like to say, yes, if America had a president called Bernie Sanders, that would make a whole lot of difference. But in America, unfortunately, good people, people with principle, they've hardly been presidents of the United States. See, Bernie Sanders is he's a leftist by American standards. He has condemned Israeli atrocities in Palestine. No other American politician has done that. So you need brave people like Bernie Sanders in American politics. But then these brave people can go up to being congressmen, can go up to being senators, but they will not be accepted as presidents, which is America's tragedy. And if we look at the prospects of America's presidential election this year, that also makes us sad, because when you have this President Biden, he has proved ineffectual as a leader. If he is defeated by Donald Trump, that will also be a danger for the world. So you're caught between a rock and a hard place.
Well, thank you very much. Viewers, we are going for a short break. Please keep watching. We are back to the talk show Prophecy Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement, and we are having talks with veteran and star-like journalist Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury and Mr. Syed Badrul Ahsan, Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury. Recently, External Affairs Secretary of India, Mr. S. Jaishankar, he made a very fiery speech at a seminar there in Delhi, and he said, and assertively he said, the Indo-Bangla relationship, the best and the highest and greatest beneficiary of this relationship is the northeastern country, northeast. Because once upon a time, it was detached because of sandwich-like state like Bangladesh. And over the period of time, lasting about 17, 18, almost more than 15 years, this government, Bangladesh Indian governments tried the level base to cement the relations, and because of the relationships, countries in the eastern, northeast are flourishing day by day. And keeping this in mind, what is your understanding of geopolitics centering Bangladesh?
You see, thank you. Before I comment on this, I will add to Badrul about the human rights. Human rights, it is the, it must be examined, it must be monitored, it must be evaluated by our own people. I will prefer that our government, our politicians, our civil society, our media, and also the common citizen, they talk about the human rights situation in Bangladesh rather than getting a prescription or getting a restriction from the United States or from West. Thank you. About the Jaishankar's, I should say that it is a realization, and it's a good realization. It is a positive realization on the part of the Indian government. Jaishankar is a seasoned, diplomat. Now he is a minister also. The reality is that India is a big country, Bangladesh is a small country, and India-Bangladesh relationship is based on a historic, point, that is 1971. So Bangladesh-Indian relationship is based on history, on sacrifice, but at the same time, it should be defined that Bangladesh is a sovereign country now, and India itself is a independent and emerging power in this. Today's Bangladesh is different now, because the way under the present Prime Minister and the administration government, the way people of Bangladesh, we are developing, progressing, and we are creating an image in the world scenario. So Bangladesh is now being treated in a different way, at the same time by the Indians also. So I think that what Sheikh Hasina and Bangladesh has given during the last decades to India, India should now give dividend to the benefit Bangladesh government and Bangladesh people have given to them. And I thank Mr. Jaishankar that he has realized the reality, and so talking on his realization, I will request and I will hope that Indian government after this election, whoever is in the government, India and Indian government, Indian people, they will realize that Bangladesh is a friend, and Bangladesh should be given the honor as a friend. Why there should be now the talks of Tista? Why there should not be this agreement? Why there should be killings on the border? I think that when Mr. Jaishankar is talking about that the benefit the Bangladesh is giving to India, we should also get some benefit from there. And I think that these things should be removed, the irritants on our relations. I should say that these irritants are unwanted and they should be removed through discussions. And there had been examples that through discussions you can remove so many problems like our the 1974 we had our border agreement and the enclaves problem. It was done in an excellent way. In the parliament, Lok Sabha, that is Indian parliament, there was no single voice against Bangladesh. And the agreement was,
Thank you very much.
At the same time, our maritime border, you see, the maritime border, it was also solved in a very peaceful way.
Yeah.
So these are the situations where if the politicians, if the governments, they are sincere, they can remove all the irritants because we share the common history. India and Bangladesh, we share the common history. We also share the common destiny that India will grow and at the same time Bangladesh will grow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury, Mr. Syed Badrul Hassan. Once upon a time, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina uttered the word, we have given so many things to India, but what things we have got. But now this is the first time in the history of Bangladesh relationship between India and Bangladesh during this period. External Affairs Minister of India, Mr. S. Jaishankar, he candidly and openly said, yes, the ongoing relationship between India and Bangladesh, the highest beneficiary and the best beneficiary is the Northeast. It means it is an outright assertion. What the role India should play at this very moment now?
As has already been pointed out by Ikbal Bhai, yes, Mr. Jaishankar has spoken of the benefits India has been getting from Bangladesh. Now we need something in return. Naturally, see, my neighbor, see, I give so many things to my neighbor and I expect some reciprocity. Well, not some, much reciprocity, because India is a huge country. And what we need to do at this moment, see, talking about benefits that India can give us, yes, we can, it can allow our goods to go into India. Personally, I think, you see, every month or on every occasion, I'm just giving a very ordinary example. Many of our women, Bangladeshi women, they go to India, they go to Calcutta, they go to Delhi and other places. They come back with loads of Indian clothes, fashion designs, clothes, saris, and they display these things, these items in Bangladesh at their shops, even on these different channels, I mean online channels. But what we need to do is to have our own goods also go into India, so that we know that the Indian people are also buying our goods. Then we have all these Indian channels which we watch at home, all these Bangla and Hindi channels. When I go to Calcutta, when I go to Delhi, I don't see these channels operating there. So, of course, the Indians will explain to you that there are rules, but let the rules be made easier so that they can also see our programs, our drama, our news items, our political discussions. Those things are there. So beyond that, what I would like to say, yes, as far as geopolitics is concerned, Bangladesh is, of course, a major player nowadays. It's a small country, 56,000 square miles or so, but then a population nearly 180 million, where in 1971 there were 75 million people. Now we have 180 million people, and we are very assertive. Now we have a government. There are many people who will not agree with the policies of the government. That is understandable, okay. But the fact is, this government has put Bangladesh on a powerful, on a niche which is very assertive. So Bangladesh cannot be ignored nowadays. If Bangladesh were to be ignored, you would not see all these interests that the Western powers and other countries are taking in the country. We see delegations arrive in Bangladesh almost every other day, political delegations, economic delegations. Everybody is coming in with ideas of thoughts of investment in Bangladesh. That shows the country's importance. So to be part of geopolitics. We are not the Bangladesh that was there 30 years ago. We are speaking of 2024. So in 2024, it's a different Bangladesh that we must talk about. So, and finally, I would say that we should convince the rest of the world, convince India, convince countries around the region, including Myanmar, say on our borders, and then in the southeast, and also in the Central Asia, beginning from Pakistan, that our country is a force for stability in the region. So any problem that happens that can be resolved through looking at Bangladesh. We have good relations with Russia, we have good relations with China, we have good relations with India, and we mean to develop, and our ties with the West are also good. But we need to be very assertive, very proactive, and just we need to inform the rest of the world that Bangladesh is a player on the global scene, but Bangladesh will do everything to promote global peace, but Bangladesh at the same time will also see to it that its own interests are properly and always upheld.
Thank you very much,
Mr. Mr. Badrul. Just the way Mr. Jaishankar has said that the benefit Bangladesh has given to the Eastern India, not only to Eastern India, but at the same time Indo-Bangladesh ties. Think about few days back, the Pakistan Prime Minister, he has said that Pakistan should be ashamed of the development, progress and prosperity what Bangladesh has attained. Just yesterday, the IMF representative, he has come to Bangladesh. He has seen the economic factors here, and at the press conference he said that Bangladesh's economy is progressing satisfactorily. So Bangladesh today is a strong nation, a strong country with its own achievement and with its own leadership. And I think that today not only India but other countries should also take note of this development and the strength of Bangladesh.
Thank you very much,
and
Mr.
I believe
Chowdhury.
that in July, possibly our Prime Minister will be visiting India after the election, Indian election. So what Mr. Jaishankar has said, we want to see that during her visit, the benefit we are giving to them, same type of benefits are given to us as an independent and strong country.
Well, there is a very small question to you, only 30 seconds. Yes or no? Do you think Pakistan should apologize to Bangladesh and to strengthen the relation between the two countries? You say yes or not.
You see, it is not the question of apology, it is the realization. Whether they realize that they did a crime by their own occupation army in Bangladesh. If they realize it, the situation will improve. And obviously, why not? There was SARC, but the SARC is now in limbo. And I think that we as a nation, Bangladesh, we also want relationship with all countries. Our father of the nation, he has said like
Thank
this.
you very much. Well, Mr. Badrul Hassan, we are about the end part of this talk show, and before ending the talk show, I have a very simple question to you, asking to you. Say yes or not. Should Pakistan seek apology to Bangladesh or not?
It's not a question of should. They must. See, otherwise, relations between Pakistan and Bangladesh will never improve. The 53 years have gone by. We have their embassy here, and we have our embassy there. But then, beyond that, nothing has happened. And generations of Bengalis and Pakistanis have been born after 1971.
Thank you very much.
They don't know
Okay.
each other. So they must apologize.
Very much clear. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Syed Badrul Hassan and Mr. Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury for joining this talk show. We are about this end of the talk show. Well, viewers, we are about to end this talk show, and before ending this talk show, I have to summarize what the two speakers by this time uttered, spoke and explained here. And first of all, I give thanks to both of them because they are very patriot of Bangladesh, and at the same time, they are the star-like personality in the field of journalism and media world. And especially, I give thanks to Ikbal Sobhan Chowdhury because he is not only a positive bent of mind all the time, he has a very strong sense of responsibility towards the journalist community, towards the nation. And having this in mind, he played so many roles in Bangladesh from time to time in the crisis moment. And he also believes the Cyber Security Act should be applied properly on the basis of facts and figures, not out of jealousy, not in a sense of intimidation, in true sense. At the same time, Syed Badrul Hassan, who is living in United Kingdom at this very moment, and from there, he joined so many talks with me, and today he expressed his mind here. And he is also one of the leading journalists in the country. And he also feels that Bangladesh should be more progressive in the sense of human rights, election, democracy, and all the jargons are here. And we also believe that Bangladesh should go ahead with all the norms and values needed for the democracy. At the same time, both of them are very vocal for human rights, and they also talked about the report published by the US State Department on human rights, and they have evaluated that and criticized where it was needed. At the same time, both of them believe that if Pakistan wants to have better relations with Bangladesh, Pakistan must seek apology to Bangladesh. And what kind of apology it is, not known to us. It is up to Pakistan to decide what they want to do. At the same time, both of them echoed the voice of Mr. S. Jaishankar, External Minister of India. And Jaishankar said, the greatest achievement of Indo-Bangladesh relationship is flourishment in the northeastern state. And northeastern state is now today is not a backward nation, it's the area. It is so high, it is developing so much because of ties between India and Bangladesh, and all credit goes to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And what Jaishankar says, both of them welcomed. At the same time, both of them emphasized India should come forward to look into the interest of Bangladesh, especially Tista and other thorny issues that is very much pinching us all the time. And we believe the Bangladesh-India relationship will stand on a better footing. At the same time, the vision and mission of Bangladesh will see a better Bangladesh. And to suit the very purposes, we should be united. And our united voice is a strong voice for other countries. And thank you very much. We'll meet you again in the next talk show. Thank you.